We know teaching our kids about how to care about others is so important, but sometimes it can be difficult to do.
And here's a book that can actually help you out. It's called Betty the Bald Chicken, Lessons in How to Care. It was written by Lori La Bey and Scott Carlson, and the inspiration for this book came from Lori. She cared for her mother, who lived for 30 years with Alzheimer's disease. And Lori La Bey joins us now live. She's also the founder of Alzheimer's Speaks. Lori, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So first, tell us about Alzheimer's Speaks. What's this all about?
Well, Alzheimer's Speaks is a media and advocacy group. I was a frustrated daughter, and I wanted to connect people to services, products, and tools, and other people dealing with this. The isolation is so difficult, and people deserve as many options as possible, and there's so many things out there that people don't know about. And so it's been really fun creating different programs to be able to bring people together.
So Betty the Bald Chicken, tell us about that. Tell us about the book. Tell us about the title.
Well, the title actually came to me in a dream. All I saw was this bald chicken, and I kept seeing Alzheimer's going back and forth. And I've used it as a keynote forever, but it really is the story of a chicken who has this wonderful life and then gets sick, and all of a sudden everybody's afraid. And they push her out of their life, and she's devastated. She doesn't know what she did wrong, and that really happens with Alzheimer's and dementia. People pull away because they're so uncomfortable with it. And Betty ends up meeting another group of people. She ends up walking and crying and just feeling devastated, and she falls down this hill, and she finds the caring corral, and they scoop her up, and they make her healthy again. And they invite her into their group. They never ask her what's wrong. They just accept her for who she is. And then she ends up getting sick about 3 years later, and they decide they have to go back up to the barnyard and tell everybody that, you know, Betty's dying. What are you going to do? Are you going to continue to push her away and pity her, or are you going to come back into her life and appreciate all she's been to you? And
one of the things that I really appreciate about this book is, even though we're talking about Alzheimer's and we're talking about dementia, but based on what you just said, this book applies to anyone who may be dealing with an illness. So it's almost universal in a way.
It really is. I've been going to write this book for 10 years, and we just got it out, but I think it's the perfect timing because the world's gotten so divisive. People feel so alone. So it breaks the boundaries of ages and situations. So I've had people say, you know, I talked to my grandkids about this, and he felt like Betty when he went out to recess and he couldn't find his friends, and he just felt so lost and alone. So they could have a conversation about that. I've had, you know, an 84-year-old write and go, oh my gosh, I was in tears. This really made me think about my life and all the times I felt isolated, or when I haven't been there for someone else. And it's not about people feeling guilty. It's about people realizing we have a conscious choice to make. How are we going to show up? Who are we going to be? Because we've all been Betty multiple times in our lives, and we know it doesn't feel good. And so we shouldn't fear this conversation. We need to figure out for ourselves, how can we help ourselves? How can we help others? You know, open up the door to support one another.
Where can people find the book?
They can go to alzheimersspeaks.com, to our book tab. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the regular places. You can go ahead and purchase the book.
Great. Lori, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.